Got all 6 hamsters in the car. It's so insane. No. I don't like this at all. Here we go. What the heck is in here? It's scaring me. This is just torture and neglect right here. This is super neglect. Hello Munchkins and viewers alike, it's me Munchie, and I am actually about to take part in a major rescue. But I am a foster home for homeless cats and small animals, and for those of you who do not know, I like to rescue them and foster them for a little bit of time. And so right now, all my time is going towards fostering small animals rather than cats. So this is gonna be a hamster rescue today. Well, it's actually gonna take part tomorrow, but I want to give you guys an update as to what has been going on and how did this all came to be. So first off, I am always on Craigslist making sure that if there is seriously somebody out there who needs to rehome a hamster ASAP, or if the animal is in really bad shape, possibly due to neglect, possibly due to somebody not understanding their care, I jump in. And a lot of the times these people, they just want them gone as soon as possible, and or they just can't take care of it anymore. But in this case, I am actually going out and purchasing a cage that has a bunch of hamsters in it. So I saw this ad just about, I want to say it was a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, that it said hamster cages $20. It says hamster cages with 3 males and 3 females living separately, asking $20. And the first photo you see in the listing is 2 cages rather than the hamsters. And the listing itself was set up mostly for hamster cages, not hamsters and their cages. So a lot of people actually might have clicked on this ad thinking that it's only the cages, not realizing that there's hamsters that come with them. So this ad to me screamed, hey, this person might not care too much about them, especially since there's 3 males and 3 females living together that are Syrian hamsters, because the second photo is of what appears to be possibly a long-haired female Syrian hamster. I believe that is what was shown in the picture. Looked exactly like Zelda a little bit that I'm currently fostering. And so I was just like, okay, I need to see if anybody else would like to take these animals. So what I did first was I contacted people on Twitter and my rehoming group on Facebook to see if anybody would come forward and to rescue these hamsters. And then when nobody was doing that, I thought that, maybe I should step in, maybe take 1 cage while somebody takes another cage. So I posted online, call to action, hamsters in Washington. And I did that for my Facebook group, my Facebook page, and Twitter. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, I was asking people if anybody would like to do a joint rescue. Now, I did happen to get somebody that wanted to do a joint rescue that said that they could take a cage, but they need to ask the boyfriend first. And it seemed like all was going well, and I said, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to just inquire about them just to make sure the guy is still there and he is responding. And he did, he responded to me, and this is what he said. And just to note, I always ask people about the hamsters, where they came from, how old they are, things like that. So I always inquire about that, but I always ask nicely, even if this person is housing Syrians together and they do look like they are adult Syrian hamsters, you don't know the background and don't know where he's coming from, and you don't know if he actually knows better. So I always tread lightly when I inquire, rather than say, hey, you're doing it wrong. They don't want to be talked at, because if they feel like they're talked at, they get very defensive. So if anybody's out there quickly questioning, why didn't I start telling them, hey, this is wrong, you need to separate all of them? One, he probably didn't have the cages. I just don't know. So in order for me to not jeopardize this joint rescue mission, I made sure to just ask questions as if I was interested, which I am interested, but I'm interested in rescuing and separating them all, because Syrian hamsters should not be housed together, especially when they're old adults in such a tiny critter trail. And you guys know how much I hate critter trails. They have tiny tubes, and for female Syrians, they can get exceptionally big. Right now, I do have a few different Syrians with a few different sizes. My little Sahara is 136 grams, whereas my Zelda that I'm fostering right now, she's 150 grams. But there is even larger females out there that have topped 200 grams. So it's insane to see the sizing and the differences, and just knowing that females get exceptionally bigger, so they shouldn't be crawling through dwarf size tubing. But here we go. This is what he responded back to me. Most of your assumptions are correct. The price I'm asking is $20 per cage, because it wasn't really clear if it was $20 total for everything were $20 per cage. With 3 hamsters each cage, 1 all males and the other all females. They are hamsters I bred myself deliberately. Now, when I asked them where they got them from, if they were from a breeder, if they were pet store, if they were previously from a rehome, hearing that he bred them deliberately made me a little bit confused. I had the parents in the whole thing interconnected until they had babies last November. Then I separated the cages based on sex. So what he's saying here is he intentionally bred them. They had them together, and then when they had babies, he separated. And also he said he had the babies last November, so they are at least 9 months old. The parents were around 4 to 5 months old at the time. That really wasn't what I was asking. If the parents were 4 or 5, I wasn't questioning whether they needed to be at the correct age to breed. But then again, you don't know if these 2 hamsters that he intentionally bred are in the same litter or was previously in the same litter, or if he got them from 2 separate people. I just don't know. And it's always a bad thing too if you breed within a bloodline. It's not good to be breeding brother and sister, because you just have a bunch of health issues and genetic deformities and just genetic issues. But anyways, so he goes on to say none of them have ever bitten before. They have all been held, but the males have had more attention and none of them have been held very much. From my understanding is they weren't really interacted with. They don't bite, at least. They haven't been held much, but they have been held. So that's a good indication, but it also makes me very worried that these hamsters haven't really been around human contact a lot. But let's continue. They have all been treated very respectfully, so even though they are not as tame as they could be, when I drop the doors open, they will often come climbing out onto the door to greet me and get treats. So that's good that they know that, hey, this is a good person, he's bringing us food. I have had several different offers so far. The most interesting ones, just the females, only because their cage has more attachments on it, which is true. If you see the picture, one cage has more attachments than the other. And if you look closely in those pictures, you do see the hamsters in the tubes and in the cage. The only reason I have more rooms on the female tank is because females are far more aggressive and fight if they don't have the extra space. So the person knows that they are fighting right now, and so he just gave them more tubes. Syrians are solitary animals. Dwarfs can be paired together, but half the time it will work, half the time it will not. So everybody should be vigilant and know to just be watchful if they have dwarfs. But Syrian hamster owners should always know Syrians need to be solitary because they will fight. Well, my Syrians have been together for 2 years, or 1 year, or 5 months, and they haven't been fighting. There is a whole good reason why you shouldn't, because of pent-up rage, pent-up frustrations, and just them exploding all of a sudden. They can coexist together for a certain amount, which should be up to, I think it said 6 or 8 weeks. I forgot. I believe it is like 6 or 8 weeks where you need to start separating them. But of course, there are people that are like keeping them together for much longer, and they do fine for a bit. But like I said, you could be grumpy, like you could be grumpy at your siblings saying, I hate you, but I'm living with you for now. I hate you, I'm living with you for now. All right, that's it. You took my carrot, I'm going to react. It's a territory thing. It's personal. It's just people don't understand what they're doing wrong because they think that, oh, they can get along together. Just like with cats. When you put 2 cats together, they have never seen each other before. What are they gonna do? They're gonna react. And then eventually one gets to know their space, the other gets to know their space. But of course, if you have a smaller space for them, they will react. I'm so glad that the animals that I have, all 5 of our cats, get along great. I don't know if this person is very knowledgeable. I mean, he does seem like he knows that females are more aggressive and they're more territorial. However, he should also know, if he knows that they are solitary animals. They shouldn't be kept together. I have more attachments to go with the set. Most are still in brand new condition. You seem to have a clear understanding of the differences between keeping males or females. I think I would prefer to give them to you and your friend. So I also mentioned to him that I would be bringing my friend along. But anyways, that is what happened. And I thought that with the first person that I was going to partner with, that it was going to go through and then we can go down there and get them. And I would also make a post saying, hey, we have hamsters. If anybody wants a free hamster, this is the situation. This is their personality and their temperament and their tameability. These are how old they are. So I was getting ready to start to ask people if they were interested in having a hamster, because I didn't know if my partner was going to take all 3 or if she would need help rehoming them. So right after I was talking to the person on the first day, and she was saying that she just needed to talk to her boyfriend, see how he would react since they do have a bunch of rats at home and she already has a ton of animals, to see if he would be okay with her taking taking it a bit more. But after that date, she did not respond at all to me. And the next day even went on, and then I got a little bit skeptical, and she was not answering any of my messages. She didn't see them, and she did seem like she might have been active on her account, but that she wasn't wanting to open up the message. So I had a feeling like she flaked out on me, which, you know, would be nice if you said, hey, I found out my boyfriend said no, sorry, I can't. But she just flat out did not respond back. But I'm just gonna move forward because I need to get this done. These animals need to be separated. So I made a plea, another call to action saying I need a joint rescue. Would anybody want to take one cage? I'll take the other. Just let me know. And if anybody's interested in having a free hamster, let me know. And kindly enough, one person stepped forward, and she actually stepped forward for Miss Molly here. Molly, my current foster winter white hamster. And she was actually going to be most likely taking Molly, but knowing that I needed help with the joint rescue, she said she wouldn't mind stepping in, putting some money down for one of the cages, and then just keeping one hamster. So unfortunately, Molly's no longer going to her or going to a good home, and so I am keeping Molly, but at least this other person is helping me rescue these guys. So that's great. With any rescue, we will be losing money every time. We're not going to be gaining anything from keeping these hamsters, fostering them, and then finding them homes, because their adoption fees are so low, the cost of everything is so much higher, so we're not gonna make anything from this, and we're losing money. But we're doing it for the love of pets and hammies, and so I'm glad I found her, and I'm glad that she came forward saying she would help. So she is taking a cage. She's only taken one from her cage, so that leaves two from her cage still needing rehomes. And so another person stepped forward saying that she could only take one, but that she's willing to take one. And so I found two people, and so I contacted the lister back saying, hey, is it all right if my friend and I can meet you on this day and at this time and at this location? And the guy said, yeah, sure. And so tomorrow around noontime, we're gonna be rescuing the hammies, and I will bring you guys along. By the way, I realize now that this might be a 2-part or 3-part series for rescuing, so I'm sorry if I had to explain in the first video all of what was happening, but let me just tell you the setup and how that's gonna go. And what I'm gonna be housing these hamsters in temporarily is going to be bin cages and 2 20-gallon long tanks. Now, before anybody leaves a comment below saying, oh my gosh, Munchie, what are you doing? Listen first before we start responding with a bunch of hate and unneeded hate. So the reason why I'm using these 2 20-gallon long tanks is because the wheel will not fit in any bin cages. Unfortunately, I do use 10-inch silent spinners, and those are huge. They are the new ones that came out by KT for Syrian hamsters specifically, because females are so large. Males can do an 8 and a 9-inch, but usually females can do 9, 10, 11, 12-inch wheels, because they range from itty bitty females to large females. And because I don't know exactly the size of the female hamsters, I don't know if they're going to require a bigger wheel or not. So the safe bet is to get 10-inch wheels or higher. So right now I currently have one extra 10-inch. I do have one on the way because someone donated a wheel and I haven't received it yet. It's coming on Saturday. And then when I went to go put in my wheel and set all of this up, I noticed that the lid won't close. On my 27.5 gallon, which is actually this one right here. This is the home of Reinhardt, but this is the bin cage with the purple handles from Target. And then the 29 gallon is what I was going to be using. And the wheel cannot turn when the lid is on, and that lid needs to stay on to prevent escaping and to prevent my cats from being, what is this? It is unlocked. That means I can come in, and that's a no-no. Even though they are on rack systems and I don't expect them, they're gonna squeeze in between itty bitty space. You never know, they're cats, and I always want to be careful. So unfortunately, I had to get 2 20-gallon longs because I want to give the Syrian hamsters a proper size wheel. It would be cruel for me to give them anything smaller where their backs start curving. I don't want them to curve. I don't want them to be in pain. So just as a temporary thing, I am going to be keeping them in something smaller. This should be around 360 square inches, whereas the bins are around 500 to 600. I forgot the exact measurements. I believe it's in the middle of that, but that is the appropriate size, whereas everybody should know animal, 450 square inches is the minimum here in the United States. In other countries, they want bigger is better and always advocate for bigger is better. However, since this is going to be temporary, this is just a rescue to separate hamsters who are potentially fighting and are very large adult female and male Syrians. I want to separate them, and this is a better choice. Now, people might say you shouldn't do this and post those comments anyways, even though I just explained why. Now, the reason people are probably gonna do that is because they really do care about the animal welfare and all that stuff. But when it comes to rescuing and fostering, especially in rescue groups, there is always going to be temporary enclosures, or there is always going to be, if they need something to just make do for right now so they can save and rescue and watch over the animal, they have something there. Not everybody is going to have personalized big bins for them. Some rescues, because they just don't have the room, but they want to still help out animals, will have a smaller setup, but they are still providing everything for the animal. It just might not be as big of a space and as big of an enrichment as if you, the adopter, adopts the animal, take it home, and becomes a personal pet. So when it comes to fostering, when it comes to rescuing, they can, for a temporary setup, it's not going to be permanent, for a temporary setup, can be housed in something smaller. So I am going to be looking at getting some more cages. Preview cages on Amazon, and or a 40-gallon breeder tank, which is quite heavy, and I would recommend more so the cage because you can fit bigger wheels in that cage. So if you guys got to this point of the explanation and you still want to complain, you're not going to be sticking around Munchie's place often. I can tell you that, especially if you don't really value me rescuing these guys and separating them over something as silly as just a few square inches of floor space. So thank you guys for watching part 1 of this whole rescue operation of 6 hamsters. I do appreciate it. I hope you guys will stick around for part 2, and if you do, hit like to show your support. And if you want to become a part of the Munchkin family and see more from me, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time, or preferably tomorrow in the next video. Bye bye.